Okay. So, love and other difficulties. I'd like to start with a disclaimer, and I'd like to tell you my intention here. The first thing I want to say is that I am not here to give you a recipe for bliss. And also, I'm not here as an expert on what I'm about to speak. I chose this topic on what appeared to be a fluke. It was the title of a book of poems by Rainer Maria Rilke that I was reading when I wanted to come up with a theme for this talk. But of course, there was meaning to this theme for me. I need to learn from what I will share with you. And I'm not here to teach you anything new. My intention in this sharing is to invite you to let yourself be here, to let yourself simply be here now, to let yourself stop for the next couple of hours or whatever time we have, trying to become more, trying to become better or different than who you are. My intention is to remind all of us of what we know deeply inside, that we are love because we are life. So let us begin by questioning, what is love? What is the meaning of love? Most often, when we talk about love, we talk about it as an experience, the experience of love. And yes, sometimes it is that, it is an experience. We use the word to mean so many things, but most often we refer to feelings, intense feelings of attraction and tenderness towards another human being. And yes, sometimes love expresses itself that way as well. But love is not about feeling loving. It is the complete openness to what is here. The complete openness to life right now. The complete openness to pain, to fear, when they're there, because life is about pain and fear as well. The complete openness to standing unprotected against all feelings which we think will hurt us. The protection against everything which we believe we cannot bear. Excuse me, it's not the protection, it's the standing unprotected against anything that we think we cannot bear. I have written some things down because I wanted to get away to get going here. I hope I read right what I've written. So the need for protection, spiritual teachers tell us that this is the greatest illusion. The belief that we are someone who needs protection. The belief that we are someone, and the belief that that someone needs protection. It's a double-sided illusion. The Pathward Guide says love is truth. It was also what Dorothy Hunt was inviting us to contemplate in the poem. It's a state of where everything is accepted. It's the state of awareness, the awareness that creates everything. And since awareness creates everything, it accepts everything. It is everything. Love is the truth of what is. So this is the love that I would like to speak with you about here. This is the love I'm trying to learn a little bit more about. And the difficulty really has a lot to do with letting go of the mind that for most of us, I don't think I'm alone here, has very definite ideas about what love is and how I can get to feel it and who I need to be worthy of it, and what I need to do to appear lovable, and so on and so forth. I'd like you to think of a moment for being in love with someone, even though we're not going to talk about being in love with someone. But think about that state for a minute. Think about that experience. It's an experience where we do not make demands about anything. We don't want anything to be different. We surrender to the reality that is created between us and this other being. Yes, no demands. Very often where we are in that state and we share with friends about how beautiful it all is, you must have had this experience. People say to us, "Are you serious? Really?" We don't need anything different. And that's what makes it beautiful. So, but we're not here to talk about that state. We're here to talk about the reality of love, even though it's a state, really, and words cannot adequately describe it, because it is not a state that the mind can understand, at least not fully. Yeah? So, why is it difficult to be in alignment with that reality? There are many, many reasons. But one of the points I'd like to remind you of in this lecture is that all of those reasons can be summed up by the underlying illusion that who I am is not love, and therefore I have to search for it. I want to repeat that. All the difficulties we experience to finding ourselves in alignment with the reality, the love, the truth about what life is about, can really be summed up to one fundamental illusion. And that is the illusion that I am not love, and therefore I have to search for it. In the core way of understanding who we are, we talk about separation. Sometimes we call it the lower self, we call it defenses, we call it any number of things. The separation we talk about is really the separation from that knowing, not the knowledge, the knowing that I am love. There is no such thing as love and me. Just give me 1 second, please. Yeah. So we'll talk about that, but just take a moment to deal with this. And I need to take a moment also. So, love is already here. It is who I am. It is what creates everything. and I do not have to do anything to achieve it. Love is who you are. Love is your true nature. So why is that difficult to know? Well, like everything, knowing that we are loved requires a price. The biggest price that it requires is a death, the death of our identity, the death of what I call me. Me. Yeah. The idea that there is a me is sustained by a number of beliefs about life, who that me is, and the relationship of that me to life. And even though we need to have an awareness of the me or a connection with the me, because we are here in the body and we need to serve life through the body. And the body, I'll put it crudely, needs us to put food on the table and make dinner. And to do that, we need to go to work. We need to do things. We need to understand how life works. So the me is not totally useless, but I need to be a me here. I need to be the teacher here. I need to have some questions to share with you. I need to think of what the questions mean to me, how they relate to me, to speak both of what I know and what I have no idea about. I need a me. The problem becomes when I think that's who I am. The problem becomes when I identify with a me. I hope that makes sense to all of you here. I'd like you to take a moment to think about it. You know, when you're in a relationship, you have to be a me. You have to be able to listen, take in the other person. You have to be able to know your boundaries. You have to be able to offer what you have to offer, and so on and so forth. But to be in the love state with in any relationship, not only with a lover, but here right now, with your child, with your boss, with your co-worker, we need to also be able to dance in a space where there's no separateness, where we are, where we feel the energy between us, but where we also are the energy between us. If we stay identified with the me only, that needs to hear and listen and give and talk and understand and keep the boundaries, we keep ourselves very small, and we keep the other person very small in our mind. So to experience the openness, the ability to stay in present moment, to experience all the life that flows through us in a relationship, we need to also know that we are not what we call me, that we're bigger and more, that we can embrace more than we think possible, then we can bear more pain that we think we can bear, that we can be more present that we imagine. In some ways, I listening to myself, I think I've said everything that needs to be said here. And maybe just to be in silence with that would be all that's needed. And we'll talk some more though, because the me that is the teacher is also here. So we'll come back to this and we'll talk about what makes that difficult. So love requires the willingness to allow the me to die. It requires letting go of expectations. Love is not what most of us, most of the time, think it should be. It's not always pleasurable. It's not always a happy making. We don't always feel loving in the state of love. Love sometimes has pain. I know I keep repeating myself, but there are not that many points to make here. But we all have demands. We all have expectations. And underneath the expectations, we have demands. Take a moment. I'm going to stop talking and give you a moment to think if that is not true for you. Think of a relationship. Even though we're not talking about relationship necessarily, exclusively, we are talking about relationship as well. So think about any relationship that's meaningful to you. And think of how many expectations you have of how love should be in that relationship. Think of how many expectations you have in order to decide that this is a good relationship. I need to nourish it because it's as good as it can get right now. But these expectations are also underlined by demands. They're not just expectations. Expectations are good. But underneath the expectations and what sustains them are demands. Demands we make on life and demands we make on ourselves, mostly ourselves. The most strongly adhered to demands that we make have to do around the false belief, the illusion that I will experience love if I'm worthy. I will experience love if I'm worthy. In love, there's no such thing as being worthy. Love is there because you are there. Love is there because love is life and you are life. But this illusion that we are worthy or not, I think you all relate to that. I doubt that there's somebody here who doesn't know what I'm talking about. You know why I know that? Because you wouldn't be here. I don't mean in this lecture. I mean in this culture, in this time, in this civilization, in this body. And of course, this idea of being worthy connects intimately with the belief that I am somebody. One of the elements in sustains me believing I am somebody is also the what we call the idealized self-image. I am somebody, and that somebody is defined by who I think I am, but also about who I think I need to become. Right? I'm the one who needs to try to be that or not be this, and then I'll be worthy. So the idea of the illusion, I need to be calling it that, of essential unworthiness is intimately connected with the belief of who I am. Excuse me, did I say the belief of who I am? No, the belief that I am somebody. I said I was going to give you a minute, and I don't think I did. So close your eyes for a minute. I've said a lot already. See how it all sits with you. Breathe, move the shoulders if you need to. Just breathe for a minute. Again, think of a relationship that's important to you. See if you can connect with how often you believe that the prerequisite to feeling the love in that relationship is that you or the other person are a worthy human being, whatever that means to you. Think of how often in a relationship, the one you're thinking about, the effort to prove yourself worthy or to demand that the other person is a certain way for them to be worthy doesn't allow you to experience love and connection and brings you to suffering. Can you imagine for a moment if love was the prerequisite, that the prerequisite is not to be worthy of love, but that love is the prerequisite? The recognition that love is always present. Can you imagine that to be the prerequisite? Right now, I said in the beginning, my intention was to invite you to be here right now, to not use this time to understand something you don't know, to learn to be better, to know more, to ta 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 ta. Can you imagine if you were here with the rest of us, knowing that love right now is here and you are it and I am it, that we're all expressions of it? Just imagine. So love is it's difficult to know that love is there because we attach to a sense of who we think we are and who we think we have to become. This is all in the mind. Yeah. Yes, it is supported by our early experiences. We all know that, and I'll come back to that later. Yes, we were not born with an idea that we have to be somebody. We learned that. And yes, we do a lot of work, not only in core, but we do a lot of work in many ways to open up to our feelings, that the pain that we have experienced as a result of these demands of life, that we be somebody. Those are the demands of the embodied life. However, it's not enough to do all that work. Many of you know that. I know that. So much work, to feel my anger, my sorrow, my despair, all those feelings that were blocked and still are to some extent in my body all those years, that were the result of my early experiences, to find how my relationship with significant others have affected me in thinking I'm unworthy. I go back to that. And how many of you here are not like me, that with all that work that I have done, I keep going back again and again and again to the same recreations, to the same beliefs, yes, to the same difficulties, to the same. So this business of opening up to letting go of believing who I am is a very important issue, in a very important need to open up to love. And of course, I talked about earlier about letting go of demands of how life should be. Yeah, that again is connected here. But the other, another thought here to hold is that experiencing love becomes difficult because we don't accept all aspects of who we are. We don't. Not only I don't accept my limitations, and I'll talk about that later on, but I also don't accept that being human, I am going to at times experience difficult to bear energies running through me. One of the reasons, I'll give you an example that I think, given what's happening in our world today, probably most of you have thought about. One of the reasons that it's very difficult for us to stay connected to the suffering of people around the world. Momentarily we get connected, for a while, and then we move about our lives like I move about my life like the people in the Ukraine, for example, only exist those moments that I'm reading the news, if I read the news. But one of the things that's very feels unbearable, is not unbearable, but we believe is unbearable, is to feel the pain of injustice in the world. Somehow we blame life, we blame God, we blame something or other for the injustice. We move from the momentary experience of the pain of that injustice, I do, to blaming somebody for it. because I believe that the pain is unbearable. I am not accepting that who I am is here to also know that pain. I pick and choose what experiences I allow. Love requires accepting all aspects of ourselves, the good, the bad, the ugly, and that which does not want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. I shared with you in the beginning that love is awareness, the awareness that creates everything. You want to call it God? Go ahead. If that word you don't connect with, let it go. Excuse me. And if love is awareness and it creates everything, then it is everything. I was going to say it embraces everything, but it doesn't even embrace it. It is it. Okay. So being in the love state is being in a continuous yes to the life that runs through us. Being in the love state is being saying a continuous yes to the love that runs through me. And however that love shows up. It might show up as being in love with someone. It might show up as my creativity. It might show up as my desire to be dancing in my life. I put it in quotes, dancing in all ways I can dance. It can appear as my desire to learn. It can appear as my being baffled by what doesn't make sense to me. It can appear as hate sometimes. It can appear as resistance sometimes. It can appear as wanting to get under my covers and pull them over me and not look at the world. All of that is love, life running through me, love expressing itself in that particular way, in that particular moment. Easier said than surrendering to that reality. You know, those of you who are Greek, I use this, I go there very often myself to remind myself. Those of you who are Greek, you know very well, we have an expression in the Greek language that says, whoever saw God and was not scared, whoever saw God and was not scared. We use that expression, you know, in our everyday communications, and it took me many years to stop and realize what the expression means. God, and again, you don't have to agree with this, but God, love is an incredibly powerful force. Of course, we're scared. Of course, it's scary. It's a force that's like a fire, you know, that burns. It's scary. But what it really burns again, I keep coming back again and again and again to this. What it really burns is a sense that I am who I think I am. And that's scary. And I'm asked to feel the fear, because that fear is love also. And I'm asked to let my love break, let my heart break, let my heart be broken. We're afraid of heartbreak. We believe it's real. You know, when I was very little, my family was very poor. We did not have an electric refrigerator. The man would come around with his cart and deliver ice for the icebox every day, and would put it outside the door. And I used to love going and sitting by that block of ice while my mother had not come out to put it in the icebox. And what I loved about it is to listen to it cracking as the heat was coming in to that block of ice. And I think of that often, you know, when I think of heartbreak, when the heat of love comes into our heart, it will crack. And I remember thinking when I was a little girl sitting next to that piece of ice, oh my God, I hope it doesn't feel pain. That's all I knew. But if it was like me, it would feel pain because it was cracking. So how can I possibly let go of what I believe and who I am, the rigidity with which I hold on to that? And, you know, I'm not just talking about the rigid defense here. There's rigidity in all our defenses. We hold on to them, that rigidity. How can I let go of that without feeling the pain of being cracked open? I want to read you a poem. Actually, I have forgotten, Constantine, my PowerPoint altogether. So can you find that slide? I think it's number 11, maybe, with the healing poem. Because I don't know it by heart, I have to read it on the PowerPoint. It's called Healing. It's number 11, I think. Oh, number five, Constantina. I want to read you, or you can read with me, a poem by D.H. Lawrence called Healing. A beautiful poem. Um, no. Keep going. Keep going. It's a poem, Constantina, called Healing. Go back. Go back. Okay. Just close your eyes for a minute. You need a break from me talking. I will find that poem. Um, okay. I would like to read it to you. We're not going to show it. This is the poem. D.H. Lawrence, Healing. he says, I am not a mechanism, an assembly of various sections. And it is not because the mechanism is working wrongly that I am ill. I am ill because of wounds to the soul, to the deep emotional self. And the wounds to the soul take a long, long time. Only time can help. And patience, and a certain difficult repentance, long, difficult repentance, realization of life's mistake, and the freeing oneself from the endless repetition of that mistake, which mankind at large has chosen to sanctify. And the endless repetition of that mistake, which mankind at large has chosen to sanctify. You can find this poem online, D.H. Lawrence, Healing. I often have thought, what is that mistake he's talking about? That is at the basis of all our suffering. And of course, you can answer that in many different ways. But I think, for me anyway, the mistake he's referring to is this mistake of believing that I am who I think I am. And beyond that, that I am who I think I should be. So, to be in the love state, we're asked to be willing to make the sacrifice of being broken open, having our hearts be broken open. Because all these ideas, of who I am and who I should be are really there to protect my heart. You all know that we develop these ideas early on to avoid pain. And again, the child needs to avoid some pain. Children cannot bear all the pain that as adults we can bear. But we close our hearts and we identify with being a closed heart. We pick and choose when to open it. But when I pick and choose when to open my heart, then who I am is the one who chooses. I am not the heart. I want to repeat that. When I pick and choose when to open my heart and what to open my heart to, then who I am is the one who chooses the limited sense of who I am, a limited sense of possibilities. So, feeling heartbreak. Before I close here, I'd like to share with you some thoughts from another teacher that most of you know, Pema Chödrön. Pema Chödrön says that all of our suffering, and again, I want to make a parenthesis, not to be in alignment with the love state is what suffering is. There's no suffering in the love state. There's pain, but not suffering. So Pema Chödrön says that all suffering is the result of one specific human limitation or perceived limitation, the belief that, excuse me, belief that we have any hope to know the meaning of it all. The belief that we have any hope to know the meaning of love, the meaning of life. It's impossible. Pema Chandran says, and therefore she says we are hopeless. Hopelessness doesn't mean we have to despair. It's just a condition. You know, my knees are not working all that well, to say the least. And I am hopeless these days to dance. If I accept that I am hopeless to dance, I don't feel despair. Are you connecting with what I'm saying? I hope you are. Mm-hmm. I feel the pain of my knees not working. I even feel the pain of not being able to dance. But I don't despair that there's something wrong with me because something needs to be different. I might need to do something about it. But there's no despair in feeling the pain of it. So the hopelessness he's talking about is the hopelessness that comes with the human condition. The hopelessness in devoting my energy to know the meaning of it all. The only meaning I find is limited because my mind has limitations. If I give up the hope that love will be perfect the way my mind decides that is perfection, then if I could really give that up, then I could be in love, in the state of love, right? Remember, I'm not talking about being in love with another human being. I could be in the state of love all the time. That too is part of the human condition, to be trying to find meaning. And love loves that too. And the hopelessness it creates. So in some ways, and I know this might sound paradoxical, to allow myself to know the hopelessness is a door to being in the love. When I repeat that one more time. So love loves everything because it creates everything. This is the premise of my talk here. You don't have to agree. But this is not just my idea. Every spiritual teacher will tell us that. So love also allows the hopelessness around seeking and finding meaning, as it allows the seeking of the meaning. As long as I keep remembering that who I am is neither the seeker of the meaning or the one who cannot find it. As long as I remember that who I am is the love that allows both, that is the only requirement, really. Now, that is not easy because I also, and I want to close by saying that, even though I'm ultimately required to sacrifice any idea, any belief in the idea of who I am, I also need to have an idea of who I am because I need to be putting food on the table as long as I'm in the embodied life. And it's not easy. Yeah, because it's like the minute I need to act on the basis of who I think I am, the mind comes in. And then I'm in a limitation, I'm limited. However, this is the journey. And we can all learn to tolerate both the difficulties of this journey as well as the gift of this journey more and more and more and more, and be in the state of love more and more and more and more, even though it breaks our heart sometimes. One quote that I have here from one of my teachers. Some of you might know him, Adyashanti. He says, freedom and love, one thing, by the way, freedom, love, one thing, no, arise when we die into the unknown mystery of being. Freedom and love arise when we die into the unknown mystery of being. I would like to ask you to take 3 or 4 minutes, maybe 3 minutes, so that we can stay together, to close your eyes and drop into your silence right now. And then we'll open the space for both questions you have, but also wisdom you might want to offer. So just close your eyes for a few moments, dropping in. Let's come back. So I just want to remind you that what I shared here with you today are thoughts, and that I'm trying to understand better myself, live by more often than I do. Nothing is original with me. I have had the great fortune to have had many a teacher in my life. They all speak the same thing to me anyway. A lot of what I shared, you all have thought of, most of you have thought of, and all of you know very deeply. But I would like to spend some time here with some questions. And also, I keep repeating that wisdom that you have to offer as well. So I will not be calling you when you want to speak. Just please speak.
Hi, he's talking. Yeah. Can I ask? Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Hold on a minute. Let me put you on speaker here. Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry. We arrived a little bit later because it was a misunderstanding with the hour. So only heard maybe last to 20 minutes of your intervention. But and yeah, I'm a friend of the one who actually is supposed to listen. But I'm also in this field of therapies, and I got some knowledge about identity as who I am, or answer to the question who I am, working with the trauma processes. And there is one author that you might know, Franz Rupert, who speaks about identity as a process where you actually, in most of the cases, if you are heavily affected by trauma, especially in the childhood, where you are in the potential of having an identity, actually you can, through identification with other people, construct an identity that might be a false identity.
Yes.
And so the whole idea of love and how we understand love and how we live love is misconstructed. It's like
it's what? I'm sorry, Kasia, it's what?
Can be misconstructed.
Yes,
because
yes.
we can copy these beliefs about love from parents or from other people that are around us and interact with us, or we can copy the model of love language they present to us, right? Yes. So in this case, what is the difference between who I am and love, and who I am as a potential for being a real identity as a person, and how I live the feeling of love? Because at ultimate level is not about thinking about love or conceptualizing it, but it's about feeling and having the love energy present in our lives as behavior of love, as language of love.
Yes, yes. Thank you for bringing this in. It's a very, very important point. And absolutely, I talked in this hour about the importance of allowing any idea, any belief in the idea of who we are to die. And I want to say it again, not the idea of who we are, but the belief that we are who we think we are. It's a process, the journey here to being open to being in alignment with love is a journey. And before we can let go of anything, we need to know what that something is. Before I let go of any idea of who I think I am, first I need to know that I have an idea, and then I need to develop that idea. I need to be able, I keep repeating that in a very crude way, to do the embodied life, the life in the body. I need to be able to make dinner. And I don't mean that literally, even though literally as well, to be able to relate to people, to be able to move in life, to be able to feel grounded in this life. And you talked about people with trauma. I don't want to go down that road. I think we all have trauma of some, up to a point, right? Up to a certain point. And to the extent of the trauma, to a large extent determines the extent to which I don't have an identity, a sense of identity that can keep me grounded in this life. So of course, before I move to the point where I need to let it go, I need to develop it. I didn't use the word ego in this talk, but before ego can release itself, it needs to be formed. I think that's what you're referring to. That there's a piece of the journey where the person has to be helped to develop an identity, to be able to know. Have I understood you, Kasia?
Yeah, I'm not Kasia, I'm Erena. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm with her, but yeah. Yeah, I understand you to a certain point. About trauma is very complex because we are all traumatized in a higher or less lower level, and there are different trauma biographies and level of trauma. So it's complex. I will not touch on this now. But what I was referring to is that I believe that love can be experienced in stages, in age, and through relating.
Yes, absolutely.
A person, and first and most of us, we relate to ourselves.
Yes.
What trauma does is disconnecting from the self. So disconnecting from the self creates a false identity of who we are and how we experience even love or any other type of emotions, and how we further relate with the others. And I suppose that this has to be an ongoing and continuous process of de-learning and relearning how we relate to us. Because if you construct a false identity, then you have to deconstruct it and to transform your own belief about who you are. And then to relearn something, like relearn how to love myself, relearn why I'm worthy to be loved, why I can love someone to a place where I don't have expectations about that love, and so on.
Yeah.
So I think
all of that is true.
Yeah.
All of that is true. And thank you for reminding us. In this lecture, I chose not to talk about love at the level of relationship, even though love in relationship is also an expression of love as the reality of being. In this lecture, I chose to talk about love as awareness, the foundation of life. So all of what you're saying is absolutely correct. And we need to spend years studying and understanding what you're talking about. So thank you for reminding us. Absolutely. But I don't want to give it more space here because that's at a different level than I wanted us to be with here. But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else would like to ask a question or say something? You sure?
I want to share something. I noticed that when you started talking about love and what it is and how we just simply are, and there's nothing we need to do to deserve it. Well, I had an intense fear that came up, and it lasted for a while. And I was trying to stay with the fear, since you were talking about it, stay with whatever is there. So I was staying with whatever was there, and it still comes back in waves. And I noticed that this fear is connected with this idea that who would I be if I had to stop doing any effort? And I think it's a bit like what you
So Maria, can you, and everybody, can you just take a few moments here to just be with the question? Just to be with the question, who would I be? Who would I be? Breathe with it. You can bear that question. We so quickly go to finding an answer because I'm talking about myself. I cannot bear being with the question, who would I be? Who would I be? Breathe with that. Who would I be if I wasn't who I think I am? Just to breathe with the question, who would I be? I interrupted you, Maria. But I believe that something that helps us allow the ice to break is to also be pushing the mind to tolerate the place where it can go no further. We speak about awe, A-W-E, awe. Awe is really the experience of those moments when the mind cannot go further. Who would I be if I didn't believe what I tell myself I am? Anyway, Maria, please, I'm sorry. I know I interrupted you. Did you want to say something else?
If I did, it is now lost.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. What I'd like us to do now, I've talked a lot. I don't think you need to. Yes, Anik? Did you raise your hand? Yeah.
I just wanted to add that the image that helps me is like the sea and the waves, because for me sometimes it's either or. And when I keep connecting to the sea and I am a wave, but I am also the sea, that helps me to feel this continuity and not be so afraid, because it bothers me as well. It makes a cut in my life. And with this image, I can more or less navigate it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Anything else? Anybody else?
I have a thought, but it's not very articulate, Erena. Well, more than a thought, it's a feeling that I keep getting stuck with. When you spoke about injustice and how we disconnect and from the pain, and then I'm connecting separately to love and the state of love and what that feels like, and love as life and the energy that knows it all, that, moves it all. I have trouble integrating understanding injustice because it's part of life, right? And
I'm sorry, Christina, understanding what? You have difficulty understanding what?
Injustice, and how injustice fits into love, into life. Because I can more easily understand the quote unquote injustice of, animals hurting each other, it's life. The lion eating the prey. But when I connect to the injustice of humans between humans and the pain of that, I find myself having to either feel the overwhelm or feel separate because I can't integrate it. It can't, I don't
Yes.
understand it as part of love, as part of life. So just.
Yeah, I definitely understand what you're saying, Christina, and you definitely speak for me and all of us. But, one can actually say that the attempt to understand injustice, there's so many ways to answer what you're saying or to be with it. The attempt to understand injustice at times, not all the time, at times it's a way to defend against the pain of feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
when I don't feel the pain of it, I contribute to it.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily actively contribute to it. I
Mm-hmm.
don't actively contribute to the pain people in the Ukraine, for example, are feeling, right? Or in Afghanistan or in Ethiopia or wherever, right? But we connect. Energy does not stay here. Energy moves, right? And we're connected in an energetic system, I'll call it.
Mm-hmm.
So if I don't feel the pain, I contribute to the injustice. And sometimes I contribute actively,
Mm-hmm.
right? The guy talks about when I don't feel pain, then I don't really feel how much pain my actions might cause another human being. I make light of them. So I can say that in answer to you, but I can also remind you that here is, if one thinks of injustice at the cosmic level, like sometimes we ask, well, why does God allow that? Right? Or why does the cosmos allow that? That's the level at which Pema Chödrön says, maybe we need to accept the hopelessness in ever understanding it at that level. And I know this might sound like a cop-out, but it isn't really if I also allow myself to feel the pain.
Mm-hmm. Right.
If I only go to, oh, well, I can't understand why it happens, then I think, anyway, when I go there, I think I'm copping out of really being with it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, maybe one more person. Maybe it's been enough talking. I would like to invite you to receive a guided meditation that, in a way, is a summary of what we've been talking about. Maybe asking you to receive the words of this meditation going a little deeper than the mind that has been trying to understand here or listen. So I'm going to ask you to just relax. Maybe first, before you relax, just move the shoulders a little bit. Relax in that way. Just move a little bit, feel your spine all the way undulating. I will use some words. It's a guided meditation. Please close your eyes. You might hear all my words, or you might not hear all my words, no matter. Some of my words might really come in a meaningful way, and some might not. It doesn't matter. It's all in the name of love, whatever you experience. So having closed your eyes, take a moment or two to relax into the present moment, to feel what is here right now for this human experience that is you. How is this body feeling right now? Just notice the physical sensations just as they are. Nothing needs to be any different than it is. Saying yes to what is here right now. If there are any feelings or emotions, just acknowledge them. Just notice them. Expressions of love. If there are any thoughts coming and going, just notice. Whatever is coming and going, and the noticing of what is coming and going, all expressions of love. Just the way it is. Nothing needs to be changed or added to. Nothing is missing right now. It is all included in the noticing of it, in the awareness of it. Allowing right now alignment with awareness of what it is that is here. What is happening in this play of experience. It's all included without any preferences or opinions. It's all included without any conditions. Whatever is here for this human experience that is you is all unconditionally included. It is all unconditionally loved right now, just the way it is. Exactly the way it is for this human in your own unique experience. And this experience that is you right now does not need to be like anybody else's. It is already loved just the way it is, because it is just the way it is, as it is. Not because it fits into any idea of what love should feel like or look like. but just because it simply is here. Just because it is here, it is unconditionally loved. Just the way it is, simply by its very existence. So there is no need to be trying to love. There is no need to be trying to accept anything. And whether the experience that is you right now is a loving experience or not, it is still included in this unconditional love. This unconditional love that is in fact your true nature. This unconditional love that is you. Allowing yourself to be aware of whatever is here. You are love. Simply because you're aware, you're including everything that is here. That is what love is. That is what awareness is. Awareness is aware. Love is loving. Love does not need anything to be different. It does not get involved in what is here. It has no conditions. Love is not a particular feeling. It does not have a particular flavor. Yet we often confuse it with a feeling, an idea that it should feel good or loving. The unconditional love that you are, it includes whatever is here right now, no matter how it feels, no matter what you think about it. Even the most unloving experience is included in unconditional love. It is unconditionally loved right now. Allow the freedom and the relaxation that comes with knowing that you, as this human, right now, you're unconditionally loved. Allow the knowing that this freedom, this relaxation is who you are. Just the way you are, by your true nature as love itself. And this is such a paradox, and yet it is how it is. The human experience that you are right now is all absolutely loved. You can't move away from this love because it is you everywhere you go. And this, I know, is a radical thought because it means that our experience does not really have to feel like love or what our mind calls love. Our mind does not get that. And yet there is a knowing of this love that is so much bigger than the mind can comprehend or find words for. And this love that you are is timeless. It's always been here, aware, unconditionally loving whatever has been here throughout your life, untouched by anything that happens, and yet holding whatever is here in one big embrace. Even the hard times, the painful times, it is all held in love. Even those times when you don't understand and your mind says, how could love do this to me? How could love include such horrors, such pain, such trauma? And it's not for thought to understand. Of course, the mind keeps trying, but still, no matter what, it is all held in love. Even this trying to understand is held in love. Thought is limited. It cannot know the true nature of life. Thought cannot know the true nature of love. But even thought is held in love. So take another moment or so and gently open your eyes. If you're sitting by the computer and you have your video off, I would love it if you would open it so we can look at everybody as we're closing here. But if you are not able to do that, that's fine as well. I want to thank you for being here with me. And I hope we get to meet soon. Thank you.
Erena.
Thank you, Erena.
Thank
Thank you,
everyone.
Erena.
Thank you.
Yes.